Man, we're live. Welcome back to another episode of The Awakening Self. My name is Aaron Fisher, and I'd like to welcome you to another one of our guests. Let me introduce Anne to you. So, Anne is an energy healer, breathwork facilitator, intuitive reader, and animal communicator. For years, she's been able to channel universal energy and messages to help people heal and reflect. As a breathwork facilitator, she holds a space for people to release trapped emotion and memories to gain clarity and change their limiting self patterns. As an animal communicator, Anne believes the path to healing a pet is through healing the person and vice versa. She bridges the gap of understanding between human and other species to create harmony between all living beings. She has been empowering people to take their power back by delivering workshops, retreats, courses, and sessions. So, without further ado, let me. Oh, yeah.
Hello.
Yo.
Hey, Aaron. How are you? Oh my goodness.
I'm good. It's nice to see you.
Wow. Is the sound okay without the headset?
Yeah, it sounds good.
Good. Okay. Let's do this.
Let's do this. Well, welcome. I'm very honored to have you here as a guest.
Yeah.
And I read your bio for everybody so they know a little bit of your background, but
Yeah.
I'm always curious to know the story of how you began on this path, what happened. Like, yes, please
It's
share it
so
all.
funny because we met Mari 10 years ago and we never get to see the other side of each other, right?
No.
Well, I was like, I can always feel spirit when I was little. Like sometimes when I just want to lie in bed, I don't want to go to school, my radio would turn on. But like, get up, it's time for school. Suddenly my door was quietly open, quiet, like that. Get up, something like that. And I can always feel they're guiding me, they're telling me where to go. So I was never afraid of spirit. Unlike
Mm,
the other people, they may, oh, so that's a ghost house or that's something very dark. You shouldn't go there. But I was just curious because I know they will never harm me. And when I was working in Shanghai, I kind of lost touch with that because, in Shanghai, they're just working, trying to earn money, and trying to look good, be certain ways. But I hit a very bottom point when I broke up with my boyfriend back then. And it was then I was at the crossroad. I didn't know whether I should stay in Shanghai or whether I should move to another country, if I should do a career change. And I did a channeling session with my spirit guide through another guy. I think he was based in Canada as well. I've got Vancouver, Toronto. And my spirit guide is not about the career. It's not about a relationship. It's about you have to heal yourself first. You have
mm,
to heal your relationship with your dad first. And it was, oh, I wasn't expecting that answer at all. I thought it's about my career. I thought it's about my relationship, which country to move. But it was a good reminder to come back to self. Yeah. So after that, I moved to Singapore with Ben. And then I started my healing journey for 1 or 2 years. I continued to do my channeling, but only for good friends. And then I realized, oh, I can apply this to animals as well because I
mm,
love pets. I love animals. It's the same technique. And I didn't know what I was doing in the beginning, but hey, why don't you just let me work on your dog? If he hasn't been eating, oh, why don't let me work on your cat? If it's losing all of her fur and the vet can do nothing about it. And I saw the result. The
mm,
fur came back, the dog was acting differently, and wow, it works, it works. But I wasn't comfortable to let the world know. It's a bit like I had this 9 to 5 job. This was the end that people saw me, and that was the image I want to maintain. And I didn't want to go to the psychic world and woo woo. Nobody understood what I was talking about. Like it was just not my comfort zone at all. So I always tell people, oh, don't tell anybody. It's just some sort of favor I do for you, something like that. But that was a suppressing energy, I realized at the end,
Mm.
because I don't trust myself. I don't trust the world. I feel like it's not a safe place to reveal the true self of me. At the end, now I teach animal communication with my students, and I always tell, do you trust yourself? Can you believe you can do it? And there was a lot of questions we do in the first course, and surprisingly, they will have massive headache or they will have get sick because they will go into the blockage. They will go into their fear, like how people gonna see me, how gonna not, and then it will come up with the physical ailments like that. So back then I didn't know, but then after a breathwork retreat, it totally transformed my life. I just decided there's no need to hide anymore. So I think starting in 2017, I started to do this openly with the people around in the world, and then I started to do some energy healing to go with it. And because breathwork has such a great impact on me, because I was already doing meditation, I was already doing channeling, but breathwork totally took me to another level.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's why we're running breathwork retreats with my dear friend, amazing woman Gladys in Bali, in Taiwan right now, and sometimes run some online courses right now. That's it.
So I have so many questions. So first question is, when you were young, how did you know that the spirits were not there to harm you? And have you ever met spirits in your life that you felt were trying to harm you?
Yeah, very good question. When I was little, I didn't feel any. I was very innocent. I mean, I feel they were always there to guide me, like whether in the house or just like which way should I go? It was like I can't find mom, then I will ask, or maybe mom's there, or I was just turn left and I'll find her. So it was my experience that built on my trust in spirit. I was a girl, okay, but when I grew older and older, I knew there's another world. Okay, there's definitely entities from different realities, and they are also on their journey. I totally respect that, and I totally honor their existence as well. But they're not necessarily means that I need to open my house and let them come in and do all this stuff. I believe in oneness and all those things. But also I sometimes will get some entities. I was just doing another live with on my own Facebook live. Ben often goes out to do his business trip, right? And sometimes he brings those entities back home. And then I will feel it because remember he just came back from the Wim Hof breath work, like he went to Europe
Hmm.
for 3 weeks. And the minute he stepped in the house, I knew something else is following him. Okay. And then the minute I was working on his desk, I feel it crawling on me. I feel it's just on my energy field. And I said, let me do an energy clearing on you. And he said, no, I don't need to. I just need to watch TV. I just need to rest or something like that. But then I feel it's a bit like they're a bit aggressive. Like I can feel they're biting me. It's like parasites like that. So I think, no, I need to do it right now. So after TV lie down, I start cleaning it. Even when I clean it, I can feel the them are not happy about it. They're constantly distracting me. They don't want me to clear them, and then I get interference. But I say it in a very compassionate way. I really respect your existence, but this is my house. This is our energy field, and I cannot let you continue to affect my family or myself. And after we clear it, it was the he felt clarity again. And he didn't know what he didn't know. He didn't know he
Hmm.
was feeling down. It was only when he became centered and grounded, he realized like he was not feeling right in the whole trip or not feeling right after coming back. So there are good and bad, not really bad, but just not, we're not raising, not on the same frequency. So I wouldn't say it a bad spirit. It's just not on the same path, and I will clear it as well. Yeah.
So how do you know that there's this energy or this feeling or versus maybe it's all in my mind, maybe I'm making this up, maybe I have a mental illness, you
Very
know,
good. Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. I think I am very, very in tune with my body right now. And the more
Mm.
energy work I do, I like when we were all kids, we all follow our intuition, right? We just
Hmm.
know it's what it is, but we kind of lost touch in that. And now it's not just, I believe that intuition is part of our higher consciousness. So first I will tune into myself, and then my body will tell me immediately. Yeah. For example, I was just looking at an old photo of myself, probably like 20 years ago, and I have a thoughts like, oh my God, I look so dumb back then. And when I have that thoughts
Hmm.
simultaneously, I have massive headache, pounding headache, migraine. And I realized my body's telling me, stop self-sabotaging yourself. Okay? So it's this thought, I'm just very in tune right now. So I can feel like whether they're coming for good or they're coming not for good. Or they're just teasing or they just want to play around, and that's okay. We can exist at the same, not the same reality. We can exist in the same space. I wouldn't do certain things. So I guess it's all the answer is come back to the self. Yeah.
Hmm.
And I really encourage everybody to tune into their body because their body has very deep wisdom. Yeah, I believe they have the self-healing. It can do the self-healing. It tells you lots of messages. And I also receive message from the other world also through the body as well. Yeah.
So you say today, now you're more tuned in with it.
Yeah.
But before, and I'm just guessing that before you weren't as tuned in before, how did you begin this journey to start trusting something like this to find a way to get tuned in?
Tune
Like,
into the body, is it?
yeah, to tune into yourself,
Intuition to
into
the
your
body.
body, into everything.
Okay. Let me think. It all comes very natural right now. So I think it was when I started after the breathwork retreat, I made a decision to trust myself. Okay? I
Mm.
made a decision to really show myself to the world. And then it's this little shift of trusting yourself, of surrendering. And
Mm.
then it's like allowing yourself to give yourself the stillness to build a relationship with the body. Okay? It's not going to be an overnight thing that suddenly you become psychic or suddenly you become, you know what your body's telling you immediately. It's really this a gradual journey. And then I think holding space for other people also helps me as well. Like doing reading for others, doing energy healing for others. And in some way, I get healed at the same time. Yeah, I believe that we all are a collective energy, right? Like when somebody is healed, then I am healed too. When I am cleared, then they are cleared too. So it's really a journey. It's still happening. Like,
I
does
for
that
sure
answer your
see it.
question?
Yeah, it does. It's through your own experience and through your own words of because there's no right or wrong answer into it. It's just more of I'm kind of curious to you. Because when I grew up as a child, I used to see things. I used to be connected with things, and when I would tell people, I'm like, oh my God, I saw this, and I would try to bring them out to the place where I saw it. It would not be there, and then they're like, well, what's wrong with you? And then constantly when I'm seeing things, nobody else would see them, and every time I told them about it, they thought that there's something wrong with me.
Yeah.
So what was right with me was wrong in the eyes of other people. So what happened was I didn't want to be like me anymore. I wanted to be like everybody else. So I suppressed so much of who I was so I could be like other people. Now, if I knew then what I know now, it would have been completely different. But I had to go through that journey because the other person was trying to be like another person who was trying to be like another person who was trying to be like another person, only to get to the point where you're like, no, I'm actually okay to be myself. And that's a very long journey or a short journey, depending on the individual. My next question for you would be, can you tell me about some of your like awakening moments?
Mm. My awakening moments, I think it happened in 2016, in the breathwork retreat. My facilitator was Gladys, who am working with right now. She's a Singaporean, and I think I did one breath work in Singapore, and she said, "Why don't you come for a retreat? Why don't we dive deep?" I said, okay, let's do it. So it was then I realized there's so many layers of me that is not me. That is ridiculous. And as you say, we suppress ourselves in so many ways. We don't trust ourselves. We just want to fit in. And it was through the breath work, like I release, I had this spiritual connection. It's really hard to describe with words, because with thoughts or sabotage you believe, you can probably analyze it with your mind, you can let go. But it's the connection with the source. Like I suddenly realized that why I came to this planet, why I am Anne right now. I just suddenly realized the mission. And I had a vision about it. And some people say, who knows? Like, it might be your woo thing. You don't know if it's real or not. How do you know? I mean, people will have this kind of mind questions. But for me, it was very, very real and very true. And I suddenly had eye-opening moments. And I realized what my mission was. Yeah, it's very similar to what you're doing now. and and once you open that door, then there's no way going back. You might have some yo-yo moments when you go back to real life, but one is only gonna get wider and wider. I'm very happy who I am right now. Yeah, it was a breathwork retreat. That's why I'm really like I know breathwork is probably very common in the Western world, in Canada or the States right now, but because in Taiwan we don't have it, we don't have that type of breath work. There's all kinds of meditation that combines with breath work techniques. So that's why I'm bringing breath work to Taiwan and trying to run more retreats with Gladys right now, because I want to see more and more transformation going on. I get addicted to it. It's really rewarding to see, whoa, whoa. You know how you mean. Yeah, you know how it feels. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you because the one thing that will never lie to you in this world is your breath. Your breath will constantly tell you the truth. And if you can master your breath, you can master your life. But knowing that, it's not like, oh, I just have to focus on my breath.
No.
Pranayama and all this breath, like it takes the rest of your life to learn stuff like that because you're constantly changing and your breath is changing and you're constantly learning and adapting and growing and expanding and like so much stuff is going on that like, oh, the breath I used to know yesterday is not the breath that I know today. And it's just like the expansion and the learning and it's a mission in itself.
It's
Yeah.
delicious, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
now I'm just playing with it. Like at first I'm just I know this type of technique, but now I'm learning different type of technique that is more in tune with your body. And there's all kinds of breath work out there. There's like shamanic ways. There are all kinds of. It's all good. I think as long as you come back to the breath. I mean, you always know that you have this inner knowingness. I think it's more to help me to get into my higher self. Okay, to help me connect with the source again, to help me realize all the bullshit out there is not me. Like I can do it. Yeah.
So before you said that you're in a good place, that you're happy to be the person that you are today.
Yeah.
And I think that's very beautiful. So I have a couple questions on that. So what do you do when you have those days that you don't, that question you, that
Exactly.
make,
I have. Oh, I think
mhm.
having the retreat is beautiful. It's a safe container. Like running courses is great. It's your own stage. Back to the real mundane life. My kid is my kid wants me to cook, wants me to do this, is whinging, and then there's those times, of course. Yeah, there's those times, of course. And sometimes I think there's two types. Sometimes I really get into it. I really will start yelling back at Bastion,
Hmm.
my kid. Um, and Bastion will reflect back to me. Yeah, everybody is a mirror. Okay. Sometimes Bastion, he's more and more aware now. And once I ask him to hurry up, we need to get going. You're late for school again. And he stopped and said, Mama, I just want love from you. And I'm like, okay, shit. Oh my God. God sent this angel to tell me nothing is that important other than love. He just wants love, you
Mm.
know. And if I have a fight with my husband, then and we both get irritated, and suddenly, sometimes I would just, oh, is that reflecting part of me as well? Because if everybody is me and I'm projecting the world, then what can I learn from this experience? Like that. So sometimes I would get into it, but sometimes I will always come back and reflect all the discomfort that is happening within me. What is there for me to learn? Okay, maybe at the moment I'll just continue to fight or start yelling back. But I guess allowing myself to have that quiet moment. And again, tune in with the body, tune in with the emotion. Why is this conversation making me very uncomfortable? Like the
Mm.
other day, I was looking at somebody reposted my Facebook page, but used my word, but replaced it with another image. And first, mine is, isn't this copyright? Like, I know, but then I feel like this is making me a bit uncomfortable, and I tune in. I feel like, no, I'm just a vehicle for the divine source. Nothing is really mine. Nothing is really mine. And if it's a very good message, it's an empowering message, it doesn't really matter if it's through me or through the other person. So it's more and more detachment going on as well. Um, but sometimes you just want to have fun. At the same time, you're more and more detached. At the same time, you're more and more involved.
Mm-hmm. I had a lot of similar things with my work as well. Like I would be writing posts and stuff, and somebody would take it and then they put their name on it. And this was I had more of this years and years ago, especially when I was in China and I was using WeChat, and
Yeah,
I was using my stuff, and it was just people were just taking it one after the other, and
especially in China. Yeah.
well, it bothered me, but then I realized that it's bothering me because they're getting praise for my work, which means that I'm not getting praise, which means that something is not feeding my ego, which means that maybe I don't think that I'm enough, and if I'm not enough, then who am I? And then I'm just like, oh wow. And then this
Yes.
journey goes.
Yeah.
But the one thing is, it's not like you understand this right away. This takes work. This takes asking a
Right.
lot of questions, and I think a lot of stuff is programmed when we're a kid. It's just like we want that praise. We want to know that we're doing a good job. We want
Mm.
that star if we're a student. We want that acceptance of a parent or the teacher. We want permission. And at some point in time, things just switch and we don't get that. And then we think that we're an adult, but we're a child in just an older body. And we forget about the simple needs that we actually need in our lives. And the one thing I wanna ask you, so you've learned a lot of things and you say that you're happy with the person that you are today, right?
Yeah.
Um, does that mean that because you're in this place now that life has stopped, it's complete, you're done, like you've ascended to the heavens and that's it?
No, 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 no. I realize, can I go back to that a little bit? Because what you
Yes.
say really, really inspired me to talk about it. And I think because we all had the experience, we all have this yearning to connect, right? We all have the
Mm,
yearning to get recognized. And as you say, if you have willingness to dig in, you and I can go through the process. And why do I need to get recognized? And does that mean I'm not enough? And all goes stuff. And then you'll go deeper and deeper. But I want to like share this with more kids and let them know in the beginning that they are enough. They are perfect. They don't need this recognition. They don't need to be conformed to the same. So now I'm also running um, a kids retreat, a kids
mm,
retreat to tell them to feel the energy because as you say, when you were little, you saw those things and you everybody thought you were crazy, right? And
mhm.
people feel the energy and the in Taiwan, if you feel something, they will take you to the temple and ask the shifu to help you get rid of it or help you close your third eye like that. That is suppression. that is not recognized. They say you shouldn't be seeing this. That is not for you to see. Okay, in that way, it's probably trying to protect, parents are trying to protect them, but then you don't recognize their talents, their gift. So in my ideal world, I want the kids to embrace their energy, embrace their talent at a very, very young age, and really play with it. They don't need to become an adult and release all the trauma, release the suppression. If we can do it since at a very young age, that would be a very, very beautiful experience for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that is one thing I want to talk about. And the second thing, I think, meaning where I'm happy where I am right now doesn't mean that that I'm content. Of course, I'm content, but it makes me excited to want to create more, because I realize I'm just a channel, right? And but I still have my consciousness going on, and I'm excited to create more in this world. If I can do things with the animal, maybe I can do things with the kids and can help more people to transform. And I don't know about you, but when I was working back those days, I didn't want to go to work. I hated my job, but I didn't hate my job, but it wasn't really something I loved. But now it's because I'm pulled by my vision. I'm really driven by that. So every day I work till midnight. Every morning, oh, come on, let's do breathwork, and we keep on going. Of course, I have my moments of feeling exhausted and tired, but and somehow I feel like I'm kind of invincible in some way. I feel like I can fall down, but I can come back up again. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm happy you share that. It's just I find that a lot of times when there's a conversation between two individuals and they're talking about, well, I used to be there, but now I'm really content where I am today, that sometimes it's misconstrued. People take it as, oh, so they must be so good, so they don't deal with any problems, where that could be the furthest from the truth. It's, I dealt with so many problems growing up, and now I'm actually happy with who I am. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to have depressed days or sad days or low days. But now I have more awareness of when these days happen,
Yes,
what to do with
awareness
it.
is the
Mm-hmm.
key. Awareness is the key. Yeah, I feel like when you get to this stage, sometimes you feel the distance between people. People will label you, oh, you're there. You're there. You're the spiritual person. And I'm it's just not my piece of cake. And I don't want to be put on a pedestal. Okay. And sometimes they create that feeling that, and then if you're there, you're not supposed to have emotions. You're not supposed to yell back. You're not supposed to, aren't you the guru? Like, and that's really, really a big misunderstanding. I'm still human. I still have emotions, and I still have my own challenges to go through. It's, as you say, awareness is the key, I feel. Yeah.
Or awareness is key. It's the fact that, like, I don't ever call myself a guru. I'm a human just being and learning and
Yeah.
understanding. And where I am today, I don't know about tomorrow, but like I'm going to
No.
continue to work on it. And so let's talk about, see, there's a very interesting thing. It's like the idea of awakening. When I started reading all these books and I started learning, I actually became very disconnected as a human because I cared so much about being a spiritual being that I forgot to be a human, only to come back to the point where I am today, where I'm already a spiritual being, but one thing I've never been is a human being. So it's about having this experience. And it's about truly allowing things to flow through me and to experience my experience, the Aaron experience, for them to experience the Anne experience, but not to experience the things that they've already experienced, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So there's this kind of idea that, well, once you've reached a certain level, that you will not feel and you will be numb, but that's not life. So when you're dealing with emotions, my question is, what do you consider our emotions to be?
To spin a little bit of what you just shared about, like I feel in the beginning stage, I will want to, as you say, pursue the spirit world. Like, what's my higher self gonna tell me? What is my path? What is my And then everything around you become a bit less important because you feel, oh, it is just illusion. Right?
Mm.
You feel the world around you is illusion. And the second stage, I feel like you know that even if it's an illusion, it's also divine. Yeah, you go back. You go back to where you're a mother, you're a son, you're a father, your role. You go back and spread that divine to the world. Like that. So I think I read a story somewhere. I think it was a teacher trying to follow a master, and the master asked the teacher like, um, "How's your parents?" And he said, "My parents are good, but they miss me." And he said, "And why don't you go back and spend some time with your parents?" And the students say, "But that's all illusion." Like, and the teacher say, "Just because it's um." I think the teachers say that's exactly why you need to go back and spend time with your parents, something like that. So I think that's a very good spin about about the spiritual awakening. People think that you're there, you don't need to come back to the world. I think real embodiment is you come back to this body, you come back to the world, and you do your work here. Yeah, and for me, emotions is this how should I say it? Is this add on in add-on embellishment decoration around around consciousness, like consciousness is already there, there's no feelings there, it's just there, and these emotions helps create fireworks help create flowers, help create. So nowadays I really embrace the emotions. I feel like they tell us so much about ourselves in some way. So whatever people come to me and say, oh, they want to clear their throat chakra. And then I saw it, I clear it. And then 10 days later, I say, why am I crying every day
Hmm.
ever since you clear my throat chakra? And say, yeah, because you have been suppressing your emotion for so long. And now it's time to release it. I said, but I don't want that. I don't want that emotion. I don't want to keep crying. That's no point of crying. But they asked the wrong question. What is the reason for the crying? What is the reason for the sorrow? This disconnection about that. So
Mm.
sometimes people will do breath work and say, I'm really sick of crying all the time. Yeah. And that's really a pity because your body is telling you something. And it's definitely for a better expansion. And I believe the universe is constantly telling us to progress, to expand. But if you hold yourself back, if you suppress it, they will manifest it in different ways to tell you. They will stop your work, they will manifest in ailments in your body. So I would encourage everybody to tune into your emotions, tune into your body and your
Yeah.
spirits. What are they telling you?
Yeah, there's a saying to feel the feel. It's almost like I want to it's like I want to go on this spiritual journey so I can stop feeling all these emotions. Then it's just like maybe you shouldn't, like maybe you shouldn't go on this journey because you're gonna feel a lot more than you can ever imagine. It's not like, oh, I'm awoken. It's just like now I'm numb. It's just like, oh, you gotta, like there's a lot that comes out. So one of the things that you learn, or that I learned, was the different forms of emotion. So before I give my my feeling on emotions, it's, is there one emotion that is better than the other?
Are you asking me this question?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Mm.
Oh, of course
How
not.
come?
Because it's all telling us, it's all helping us to grow. Yeah, I think I want to add on about that too. Because some people, you say that the people will want to feel more. What did you say exactly? Like they want to go onto a spiritual journey because they want to feel more. Is that right? Some
They
people
want to they want to be numb. That
they
meaning in
want
the
to feel
sense that
more.
like I
They
want
don't
to
want to feel.
I want to go through a spiritual path because I'm sick of feeling all these emotions where it's just like um
And the other side of it, because I run breathwork plus plant medicine retreat as well. So some people will say, I want to see a lot. I want to come to the plant medicine retreat because I want to see, I want to see, I see. That is totally not the whole point for me to hold this kind of a retreat. My whole thing is to help you expand and grow. That was my intention to organize this type of retreat. So we'll also, if you just want to have a good time and you just want to see colors, lights, and that's probably not the type that I'm organizing right now. So yeah, I guess people just need to have the willingness to dig more. Why do they want to feel numb? Like, so good to feel, isn't it? Yeah, I think the point is people don't allow themselves to feel good about themselves. They only feel the bad part. That's why they want to numb themselves. But there's so much more.
I think so often, especially what I can speak personally growing up, is I wanted to always label the feeling and the emotion before feeling before feeling the feeling and the emotion. So it's like it comes up. It's like, oh, so this means I have no self-worth. This means that I'm broken. But it's just like, no, no, no. The emotion's almost like, yo, Aaron, shut up. Let me talk. Like, feel
Right.
me. Let
Yeah.
just feel, and then just understand that I'm not you, but I'm a teacher. I'm teaching you. I'm here because there's something that I want you to learn. But as a youth, when you're younger, you're like, oh my God, like I have this thought, I have this emotion. It means that it has to be me. Like this emotion's me, but we have over 60,000 thoughts go through our head. So it's like, that's like saying you're like 60,000 people. That's more than the population of some of the cities around the world. It's just like,
Mm.
but it's not that. It's idea of like, sit in the theater of your mind and understand the show, but understand that you're just in the audience and that it's you that chooses to take what you want from the story instead of you thinking that you are the story. And I used to believe I was the story, and then I would create a story, and then I would prove the story right, and then I would get so lost in the story until like I would literally like stand in front of me and be like, "You're too close to yourself," and then like I take a step back and I'm like, "Oops." But it's
But
the
how did you get to that stage? Because you're pretty mind dominant, right? You will always examine your thoughts and you will sometimes believe in it. How do you get to the detachment stage? Become an observer.
the way that I got through it was realizing that if every time I held on to it made me feel bad, then what happens if I don't hold on to it? You know, when you go through extreme depression,
Mm,
you start to ask yourself questions of what brought me to that extreme depression? What were the patterns? What were the themes? What was I doing? And then you start to realize that there's choice. And you say, okay, so when I felt this way, I felt like I didn't have a choice, that this was my identity. Well, what happens if I do have a choice? What happens if this isn't my identity? What happens if this has actually nothing to do with me? And maybe I should stop being so selfish and allow myself to be more generous and
right.
take a step back and let this flow through me and start writing it down and questioning it and learning from it. So the idea was, instead of me constantly going to the dead end, it was me realizing that it's about opening up the road and enjoy the highway, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, you're so like from what I observe, yours seems to be like I think spiritual awakening happens in so many ways, but yours seems to be a mind dominant. Like you give yourself a different choice. That's beautiful. And my awakening was more through the body. My body
Mhm.
suddenly just and through the spirit. Like I suddenly just had the connection with the spirit. And some people will happen through the healing session. They realize their body is not them, as you say. Their thoughts are not you. Your body is not you. You both become over-identified with your thoughts, over-identified with your body, or the image you try to create. So it's really beautiful to see you sharing these stories with everybody.
But what I really like what you brought up was, so you said mine was very mind, but yours was very body. And the reason that I like how you said that was because the next person or the person listening, like yours doesn't have to be mine. It doesn't even have to be Anne's. It's you.
So yeah,
It's
it's
like,
so different. Yeah.
so the problem is there's an idea that an awakening, which means like coming to your senses and realizing that you have a choice and that you can create more. It looks one way, but it doesn't, right?
No, absolutely no. I feel like some people have their awakening through the near-death experience. Some people just suddenly download the energy, and some people just awaken through the dreams. They're like, whoa, that's a lucky one. I just had to sleep there. Woo, woke up. I really envy that times. So, but no matter what, I guess trusting the journey is so, so important because some people, when I share the awakening story, they come to me, say, how does it feel like to be awake? How do you do that? And they try to manifest that from themselves. And no, 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 you are such an individual being. Everybody really have their own path. So when you hear Aaron's stories or my story, it's really just our story. Okay, so just see what the universe unfolds for you. Yeah.
So along these journeys that people go, there's a relationship that you need to start building with yourself. So my question for you is, how do you cultivate trust with yourself to start trusting in your intuition or into your journey or into yourself?
How to cultivate trust within myself. I
How do you,
guess it's a bit
hmm,
um I think it would be back to emotions. But you have to have the clarity to discern your emotions, whether it's just out of whack emotions or whether it's just is this emotions helping you to grow. I think having that clarity is very important first because otherwise you will be led by another blind. Like so now I trust myself because I can discern whether it's serving me or not. But before that, how did I cultivate it?
mhm.
Let me think. I think it's just little things. It's just little things like what do I want to eat today? Oh, should I drink a cup of coffee today? Okay. And I will so usually we have a habit to have a cup of coffee every day, especially we're having this social gathering, like ordering coffee is just a normal thing. But then if I don't trust what my body's saying, I will feel the crash or I will feel the stomach ache in my body. And that tells me that I have another choice. I can follow the mass, just a little example, and just order a cup of coffee. But
Mhm.
then my body is actually craving for tea or something mild, something more nourishing. So again, it's having this still like quiet moment to ask yourself, what does my body want? What is this emotion telling me? I guess it's just these type of little things, from ordering tea to making decisions like whether we should move to another house or whether I should change career, something like that. And when I'm not sure, I will pray.
Mhm.
I will pray. I will ask for help because I also have my clouded moments as well. And I will build my tribe about people supporting me, people that I trust. Like if I'm in my clouded moments, like I also will ask a reading for somebody. I will also, what is my spirit guide telling me? Because my ego is interfering now. I cannot think clear. Then, my body is not feeling right. I can clear my own body, but if I have an acupuncture that can quickly get on me and release those energy, then it'll be faster. So also building your tribe is also very important. That to nourish you and help you grow, and how to select. So be wise in selecting your community is also very important. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, the
Mm.
reason I asked is because there's so much programming of, it's like, so I don't wait for inspiration or motivation. I create opportunities and then inspiration and motivation finds me. And the reason that I asked the whole trust, it's like, well, you're lying in bed and you're like, oh, I don't want to get out of bed. and your mind's coming up with every single excuse, like don't get out of bed, don't get out of bed, like you can make up all the stuff. So it's just like, well, do I trust that, or is there something else I should trust? Or you're in a situation and you're not feeling comfortable, and you're just like, oh, it's because all this stuff is wrong with me, but I should feel comfortable. But it's just like,
Mm.
it's
So how do you
interesting.
discern? Like, how do you discern between that thought and this thought?
There's three ways that I do it, and it's a theory that I came up with a little bit ago. It's called SEA, so it's SEA, and it means should, expect, and assume. So if I'm in a situation where I think I should do something, then I probably shouldn't. If I expect something of someone or from myself, then it means that I need to question that. And if I assume that somebody should be a certain way, then I have to as well, because all these are very external of what I want from other individuals or what other individuals I think want from me. So this is that. And then I call it kind of like drowning in the sea, because sometimes we drown in the sea. And like I was at a talk and this girl was talking about the word should. She's like, you should do this, you should do that, should. And then she's like, you use so much should, it's like you're shoulding all over yourself. And I'm like, I like that. I'm going to use that. I wish I knew the girl, because I forget who she was, but she brought up some really good points where it's just like, we have these expectations and the assumptions, and we think that we should do a lot of these things. So the should came from her, but then I attached all these other things from other situations, like a boyfriend and a girlfriend, a husband and a wife. They get into arguments or disagreements because she expected her husband to be a certain way, but she might have not communicated that with her husband. So she's getting upset at her husband for an expectation that he doesn't know. And the same thing for the husband and the wife. And then there's an assumption that can come from cultural. Well, in my culture, this is what a man does for a woman. But if the person comes from a different culture, then it's just like, well, in my culture, it's something different. So it's all these external things that we use to please ourselves, because that we use to please others, that we don't realize that we're putting in ourselves. So the way that I learned how to cultivate it was step by step, like you said, one step. It's just like, you don't want to be in the situation. It's just like, well, people should. I'm like, I tune in. I'm like, Aaron, what do you really want right now? What is it that you're looking for?
Yeah.
And if it's just, I'm really looking not to be here. I'm like, okay, let's go. It doesn't matter if it's the most important business thing in my life. It doesn't matter, but I'll give myself the space to trust. I'll give my space the room.
Yeah.
Because that's how it begins.
I know. Yeah. I think that's a very good point. Like giving yourself space. And you had a very good formula about the C thing, like asking, should, expect, assumption, like those things. But giving yourself to stop, slow down, baby. Like there's no need to rush. The world is still out there for you, and tune in to what you really want in life.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard because we've so often in our lives been so used to other people giving us permission that we get to a point in our life that we forget to give ourselves permission. Like
Absolutely.
permission to feel, permission to heal, permission to not feel comfortable in the situation, permission to change jobs, permission to change friends. It's
Yeah. Especially, I mean, men has their own like this collective thing as well. Women has our own thing as well. We always prioritize our families, prioritize work. We always the one being considerate, sacrificing ourselves, and men sacrificing their own way, not feeling, just being the breadwinner. These are like outdated. I feel like it's time really to come back to yourself. It is the time right now, and I think there's a global trend of this massive awakening. You come join the club.
yes,
It's really this is a sense of freedom we're offering right now. Yeah.
but it's what you're talking about. It's the construct. It's the belief that a male must be this way, a woman must be this way, a lawyer, a doctor. It's like constructs that used to serve society 100 years ago or 60 years ago, but currently it doesn't serve us anymore. It's just like, if you believe you have to be some way that's making you feel uncomfortable, not to challenge you to change, but uncomfortable to challenge you to not grow or challenge you to make you feel bad, then it's time to start asking more questions. So, my last question before we go would be, if you could speak to your younger self, what would you say to them?
I would say, I would say everything would be all right. Just go fly. Not run, not walk, just go fly. Yeah. Because I feel like I missed out a lot of stuff. Yeah, I missed out so much. I was a goody goody girl. As you say, I was doing these things that we expected. And in some way, I kind of like want to make it up. And it's just experience at the end. Don't take yourself too seriously. Sometimes have the laughter, have the play part in it as well. Sometimes it's the joy that pulls us to expand, not the pushing part. You gotta be better, you gotta expand more, you gotta have this. Like, oh my goodness, like just relax and expand in the stillness. Give yourself that chance. Yeah.
It's beautiful. So before we go, there's two more things. First is I just want to acknowledge you for the individual that you are, for the changes that you've made, for the journey that you've gone on, for giving yourself permission to grow, to change, and to really get in touch with your gifts and to take that and to share it with other people, to nurture experience for other people, and not to judge them where they're at, but to honor them where they are and, create a space for them to share. So I also want to honor you as, I've known you for 10 years, but I've actually
10
never known,
years.
I've never
We never
seen
really
you.
know each other. I'm curious, how did you think of me back then? Because I was Ben's girlfriend, and we don't really see each other that often, apart from social gatherings. Like how did you think of me back then?
The thing is, like, I didn't think anything of you back then because I didn't know you. I didn't have
Oh,
enough information to know you. All I knew was Ben's a really close friend of mine. You
yeah.
guys got married. Ben is happy. But during the times that you guys did marry and did get together, I was going through some very interesting times in my own life that
Yes.
I was more, for me, I was at a point where my friends are with people that make them happy. They're in love. I'm happy for them. But
Yeah.
I was in a place where I just needed to learn to create a friendship with myself
Mm.
that I seemed very distant from other people because I was going too much in my own head of who am I, where am I, what am I doing, what's my worth, what am I creating, and like, so that's why I say at the time, the way I say it is, you were with one of my really good friends. I saw the way that you guys looked together. I saw how happy you made him. So my thought of you was, she's a great girl that's making my friend very happy.
Mm.
But I never really got to know you. But through the experience and Facebook and all the things that you're sharing, I'm like, wow, like this is a person that I really do want to get to know and somebody that I really do want to start creating a friendship with in my own life. So that's why I'm like, you know what? I'm doing this podcast. I really do want to get to know her because I believe that she's doing work. She's putting herself out there. She's, like from creating Facebook live videos to creating retreats, that has everything to do with being vulnerable because that's courage. It's courageous. It's not easy. It's hard, but that in itself is its own reward.
Absolutely. So I feel like me posting things on Facebook right now, it's great that we get to meet because the things I post sometimes will make people feel uncomfortable. Okay, people is now, but I will always encourage them to look back on yourself. And the beautiful thing is, the more things I post, I get to know you better. I get to
Mm,
my friends I haven't met in Shanghai as well is also a woman. Saw my a post about like the women's awakening or empowerment, and she want to do something together for women together. So yes, it is very vulnerable to really put yourself out there on this meet social media and really show yourself. Sometimes I will even challenge myself and ask, how do you think of Anne? Tell me your
Hmm.
honest opinion. And I will see. I want only honest. And people will say, sometimes I feel like you're very pushy. Sometimes I feel like you're very picky. Sometimes I feel like, and those still will create those emotions, ripple effects on me. But that is a very beautiful way to even unravel myself. Like, and some people will think, why do you care about how people think of you? Honestly, it's not really about me. It's about creating the space for people to reflect that.
Hmm.
So I think this beautiful platform that you're creating is also a beautiful space for people to reflect and come back to their self as well. So thank
Uh,
you for inviting me here
Thank you for accepting the invitation.
today.
So, because we only have a couple more minutes before Facebook Live, I mean, Instagram Live cuts it out.
Yeah.
Where, because I know you do retreats and you do workshops and you do all this stuff. So, where can people find you? Like Instagram, Facebook, or where could they find you?
Oh, thank you. I always forget this. Because sometimes Facebook is my, I guess later you can share my Facebook, my personal Facebook profile. I have another animal bridge slash awakened self, very similar to your title. But it's mostly in Mandarin right now. I'm in the middle of building a website for English and Chinese at the same time. So I'll share that website later. But so far, I can share my Instagram, my community page, and my personal page with you. You can see all the events there.
Beautiful. So I'll make sure to get that from you so I can share it in the description. And once again,
Yes,
before,
last thing,
yes,
if you're willing to come to the breathwork retreat, like come. It's May the 2nd to May the 7th in Taiwan, Yilan, and another one in Bali, the north side of Bali,
mm,
facing the ocean, July the 3rd to July the 9th. It's a 7-day retreat in Bali. So ready to dive in and come. We'll hold the space for you. So
beautiful. Okay, so I will make sure to put all the information all there. And
you.
yeah, once again, thank you so much for
Thank
everything,
you
for
so
your time
much,
and for your
Aaron.
energy.
Thank you, everybody.
And we'll do this again sometime soon.
Yes. Stay in touch. Stay awake. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.